Hello, let me welcome you to the conversation segment of the Signature Show this Sunday. You know, it's not always I like to take on crises, either in institutions or in political parties, but Nigeria's All Progressive Congress is the ruling party, and therefore issues concerning or emanating from that party lend themselves to national conversation. And you discover that the bulk of internal crisis has caught up with the All Progressives Congress. Now let me give you an instance, or instances indeed. From Zamfara to Benue, from Lagos State, where Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is not deploying the carrot and stick approach, he's deploying the bullion van and the big club approach to keep everybody in line, to Ebonyi State and Enugu State. APC seems to be having quite an uncomfortable time. Factions, contentions, internal crisis. Now the question is APC only a vehicle for seeking power and not being driven by the desire for effective governance? Or is the party suffering what every other party in Nigeria is suffering? And therefore, do we hold Nigeria's political elite responsible for not trying to play by the rules? This Sunday, I'm going to be particular with the Enugu State case. In Enugu State, there are so many contenders to so many positions. Chairmanship, next senatorial seat, next House of Rep seat, blah, 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 blah. To the point that you begin to wonder whether the party is moving in one particular direction with one single principle. Now, this afternoon, let me be very clear so that I don't make mistakes. I have Dr. Ben Nwoye. I am going to introduce Dr. Ben Nwoye as the chairman, APC Enugu State. I will interrogate that designation. He's also, for fact, secretary of APC State Chairman's Forum. Dr. Nwoye, you're welcome to the conversation.
Thank you very much for having me.
And I also have a friend of mine, except that he's a little much younger. Very soon I'll ask him when we join our club of old people. Also, Joe Manuel, former chairman, Ezagu local government area, former commissioner for culture and tourism in Enugu State, APC candidate, federal the House of Representatives in the 2019 election. Also, you're welcome to the conversation.
Thank you very much.
Let me begin with you, really. I introduced Dr. Nwoye as chairman of APC Enugu State. Is he the chairman of APC Enugu State?
Yes, Dr. Ben Nwoye is the chairman of APC, elected chairman of APC, and later on he became the appointed chairman for the caretaker committee of APC. And he remains so unless and until the people who appointed him removes him. Unless it becomes absolutely impossible that it cannot work that way, then we now go. Because if Ben has selected certain words to be the crisis words, then we can organize an election. Then this won't be it. But not to do it holistically, that everybody should come back. Including even in my own word, he is even quoting. He returned my own word, chairman, as against the wishes of the people. So it became something rebellious to us.
For you?
Yes.
As a leader?
Yes, because politics, like he always tells us, is local. It starts from you to outsiders. You must have to define your own politics. Get it settled before you start moving outside. Because you cannot be having fire in your building and you'll be thinking about how to quench another fire outside. So from there now, if that foundation has been well done, we won't have this crisis. So from that particular time, the crisis started happening. People now started thinking, Ben has inaugurated a new set of executives. For me, he now touched on my essence in my own word. So the right thing for me to do is not to agree with Ben. You know, so if I see anything on the other side that is adverse to him, I will support it. Because I want my yes, that's politics. It is self-preservation. for me to preserve myself, because he has touched on my own particular.
You also have to stir the waters for him.
Yes.
Okay,
So,
gentlemen,
yes.
let us start calming the sea. Political violence, political storm cannot make for winning an election. Because if APC, you see my introduction, I said that the bug of internal crisis is also biting hard at APC. The Enugu situation, are you people taking steps to resolve it in such a way that the party can be whole and intact and in one direction forward to 2023? Dr. Nwoye.
Absolutely. That's obviously why two of us were.
That's why I asked you
It's
the
my
two,
friend,
the two factions.
but we are not factions.
Okay, the two people looking at the same thing from different directions.
Okay, we are together. The worst thing happened to Enugu State in particular. We had minor disagreement at, like he stated, at a ward level, and perhaps also at a local government level. But then the worst happened when it was now time for state Congress. State Congress was put up together. They inaugurated the same people, virtually the same persons who did the ward and local government to come down to the state. Apparently, leaders came together. There were consensus, using his term again. There was some type of, but we agreed. It is zoned. Chairmanship is zoned to west. Enugu State has north, east, and west senatorial districts. Based on what operated in 2014, when we started, we zoned governorship to Enugu North, chairman to Enugu East, and national position, national officer position, whatever, to Enugu West. And we agreed that it's going to be clockwise rotation at the end of the term. So we zoned it again, following our previous agreement, to Enugu West. That
is chairmanship to Enugu West.
Yes, that he and I can agree, because we are not apart.
Also, can you confirm that there was a zoning agreement?
Absolutely. And what happened to be, apart from what he's saying, we had a 9-man committee of the states, APC state, to look into the zoning. And I happened to be a member of that 9-man committee.
In other words, there was a committee that oversaw the zoning and there was an agreement on the zoning.
There was absolute agreement to the zoning according to what, absolutely.
So there's no dispute on that. Now zoned to Enugu West. And in Enugu West, we have 5 local governments: Izago, Udi, Aniri, Ogo, Oji River. And in that division, we have 2 federal constituencies: the Udi Eziago constituency. Then we have the Aniri, Ogo, Oji River federal constituency. The Udi Eziago constituency is heavily populated by people with appointment, national appointment. And aside from that, just finished serving Chief Honorable Mmamel was the person who was appointed national welfare secretary when this party was first formed. He's from Udi. He also in 2014 was elected as the national vice chairman, Southeast. He served for 4 years. He was re-elected in 2018 as national vice chairman, Southeast. He was a member of the crisis ridding Adams Oshomole National Working Committee. That was dissolved. That was dissolved specifically because of crisis. He's from Udi. So the Enugu West Senatorial District gathered, which is from, they gathered together the leaders and agreed holistically, agreed to the agreement of other people from the rest of the zone, that the chairmanship should go to the area called the Greater Ogo. The Greater Ogo constituency is Ogun Aniri Ezagu federal constituency. One more time, they also agreed as several people running for the position. Within them, the leaders there agreed on the person they want to produce so that the whole state can accept as a consensus. They produce a consensus. Consensus, they agreed to produce a consensus candidate and named their consensus candidate. Some people even stepped down publicly for the consensus candidate to proceed. You might have one or two persons who have not
Naturally.
from the same greater why that was being worked on. Then someone who from Udi, who is not a member of the party, but indicated interest of joining the party sometime in July 27, 2021, long after the registration had completed. He came out from nowhere and said he's running for chairmanship of the party. With that person's introduction, two others who could have ordinarily stepped down
sprang up.
No, they remained to protect their own
interests.
Then the worst thing happened on the day of Congress, the state Congress. Because of that, they're supposed to come in to where had been agreed on them. This man influenced, somehow they were able to influence the chairman and the committee sent from Abuja, and they went to a drinking parlor. And in that drinking parlor, with thugs and non-party members, they rushed in there, prevented other party members from coming in there, beat up some others, and the man who was paid to do the dirty job with his cohorts, shamelessly, in broad daylight, but we have the videos, accordingly, I pronounce one man who is non-member of APC as the chairman of APC.
No, you made very strong statements here. I do not want to call them allegations yet, because we're not in a court of law. Also, he says a non-party member who had indicated interest, not even a registered member of the party, sprang a surprise on all of you. And before you knew it, he had been pronounced the chairman of the party. Just educate me very quickly.
What I'm telling you is that the man here talking, before we had the crisis of whether Ben was removed or not removed, there was no crisis during the registration and revalidation. He was the chairman of the party, not.
So he did the registration.
He did the registration. So he has every authority.
And he knows
who he registered. Yeah, because the party register up till now is within his own personal custody. Because he asked every person to return this because the registration process has closed. There was a date for closure of registration, and same with the revalidation of voters. Closed, and all registration materials to that effect was instructed to be returned back to the secretariat. No problem then about Ben. Ben was absolutely the chairman of the party. So he has every authority to state today who I registered and who I did not register, because he was the man in authority and the man who has absolute custody of the registration materials that he gave out, the people who did the registration, and that was the same people he instructed return back my materials back after the process back to me.
Ben, who wait? Doctor, you are going to expatiate. I know that, but I'm interested in finding out how this interloper became a genuine candidate right under your nose.
The unfortunate thing, when you started up, you talked about APC crisis. Is this something peculiar or just like other political parties? And if that's the case, that we have the political elite to be blamed. The blame lies on the footsteps of the political elite. From those who appointed the individual who came to do the Congress. So when you appoint characters that can do anything that they want to do, number one, They're supposed to be under our guideline and constitution. The Congress guideline calls for screening. On the screening, that's gatekeeping. They didn't follow the calendar. They didn't inaugurate screening committee. It's supposed to be done. And it's supposed to be done like a judge, where the eyes are blind. A day before the Congress, against our party constitution and guidelines, the same man who is the Congress committee chairman, having been compromised, took on the judgment seat for screening and screened a non-member. Now, the good news for the interest of those who are pursuing justice is that the document with which he used to be screened was not our registration document. It was document obtained from somewhere, whatever, bearing a piece of paper, bearing inscription of APC. And the man, Dr. Arojobu, number one, ought not to have screening. Number two, if Dr. Arojobu had worked with me, who is the custodian of record, I would have told him that this man, his name is not here, he's not a member, and this paper is fake. But Dr. Arojobu, unfortunately, was compromised.
These are hard words. Was he compromised because someone had convinced him that the man was a genuine person?
No,
because I'm sure you don't intend to.
No. Don't see it as a hard word, because the action of what Dr. Arojobu did is beyond a hard word, because we can see it's the ripples of his action that we all seen today. Now, that same constitution of our party say that it is the State Executive Council of the party that will midwife the new executive. The National Working Committee of the party can only do regulations. They are not supposed to conduct elections for the party, for the state parties. They are supposed to make regulations for the conduct. Whether it's going to be by direct primaries or things like that, it's their regulation. But to midwife the process is going to be done by the State Executive Council. They midwife the electoral process of their successors. That is what the party says. So what a man. So the problem is that this Dr. Arojobu has a name or names to return. That's what he's saying.
Just one name.
One name. And he did not do any other thing than just to pronounce a name.
As this person
that
is not
this person is, without an election, without even a delegate list. Because if he said there was contention, mind you, we have said that we have. Let me tell you something. On the night of that, before the Congress, the consensus candidate was brought to Dr. Arojobu, and he screened him and issued him with the forms to fill in my own presence. So nobody.
So the following day,
what we wanted to do was a ratification, not an election, and we had a venue to do the ratification, only for people to find out that they've moved everything to a beer parlor, like he said.
Maybe to have a good drink.
Maybe to have a good drink, my dear. And now they now started discussing about
political party.
No, they were issuing clearance to people to attend to talks. Are you issuing clearance to when there was no delegate list for the election, because it was supposed to be a ratification of the list that has already been done? The North Senatorial District have done theirs and produced their list. The East have done theirs and produced their list. The West, where I come from, we've done theirs and we have produced our list. So why the contention with our own list? Why they are working with the other list? So it's everything is the list we have all agreed. It's an agreement. So what we are saying is that we don't even know the person of Ugochukwu Agbala being in contention, because he is not
a member of your party.
He's not a member of our party. It's just it's absolutely ridiculous. It's just something. It's something you cannot comprehend.
Okay, let us see where this bird in flight is going to land.
Dr.
Nwoye. somebody has pronounced him chairman. It is creating a problem. It's creating what I said is the bug of political parties in Nigeria. Is there a solution?
There's a solution. Like you rightfully said, the conduct of a Congress is the duty of the state ESCO.
Yeah.
So I presided over the conduct of the Congress. And the chairman was elected in the person of Comrade Esude. So he is pronounced to be the chairman by Arojubu. Comrade Esude is elected by Deputy. There is the Peace Committee, Reconciliation Committee. Then we also have group captain, who majority of the party leadership, as the group captain Oji, had said he's going in a consensus. This is a perfect gentleman.
In other words, sir, there are three people now floating, waiting for endorsement if there's a peace process.
If I'm to talk about that, there are two, like he said, Nwoye had his own election. But we on the other side have agreed not on the consensus, because that is the agreement.
Yes, I understand.
We started with the word local. Yes.
Then there is this other person.
Then there's the impostor. Call him the impostor. This other one, Esude, is a member of the party, and he is from Enugu West. Is from Enugu West, and not only is he from Enugu West, he's equally also from Greater Ogun. Group Captain Oji is a bona fide member of the party. He is from Enugu West, and he's equally from Greater Ogun. So in the arrangement of the party in Enugu State, both of them are qualified by virtue of the fact that the zoning, they are coming from the zone.
Okay, but there are two of them.
Yes.
And then there is this other interlocutor.
Yes, there are two people.
I'm looking at how you resolve this. Because we in the media cannot be accused.
The way we can resolve it is that we come from the known before we go to the unknown. The two knowns of the party, the two knowns today, if you do it, that is who are the registered member of this party. It is Esude and Group Captain Oji.
That is correct.
So they are the people that have.
They are people in contention.
Yes, because they are bona fide. They are bona fide. They are bona fide.
Doctor,
yes.
They are bona fide. You need only one person. How are you going to resolve it?
We are waiting for the National Reconciliation Committee, led by Governor Abdullahi, His Excellency Adam. You see, we have gone beyond the time when people just stand up and use toggle to take over, seize over power, seize over party. These are facts. They're not fiction. That's why we're here today. We made our time to address the public. This same thing has occurred in many other states. But in Enugu State, we are too educated. We are too exposed. Okay? We are too informed to allow an interloper to step in and seize over our party. This is not 1998 or 2003, when people are just waking up into the civilian.
Thank you very much, because you did not say this is not Imo State.
No, we are, look, in Enugu State, you are looking at.
There is equally that non-state factor involved in our politics.
I'm just thanking him.
No, but thank you for reminding us that yes, it is really good that because God has a way of working. You have mentioned this thing because we are trying to be nice with words, but there is what we call non-state actors in our own business. The business of APC Enugu State lies with the people who are doing that business in the state. But there are other people who are coming in here, not only to come and do business, but to tell us that this is how the business should be run in our own business. So there are non-state factors who are in it, because somebody comes in, brings in somebody to come and become a state chairman because he wants it, but he never looked at what he's saying. How was the guy midwifed? Because that's what we're saying. Even in pregnancy, there is a gestation period. He stays for 9 months before coming out. So the mother goes into, keep going for antenatal. So you know about the life of the baby, it's growing. How many months? How about today, your wife, you come home, and there is a baby?
You didn't see the pregnancy?
You didn't see the pregnancy.
Okay. I told you before, my producer is telling me time is up. There must be an important demand you are making of the national level in this matter.
Several people have filed several petitions. in accordance with our party constitution. This means you have to go through all the internal dispute resolution mechanism. For example, the panel, what do you call them is
conflict resolution panel, kind of.
Yes.
That's the one.
So we're waiting for them. Yes, we're waiting for them to come to Enugu. However, unfortunately, some others who are really aggrieved, who believe they have exhausted their remedy, they have been starting filing lawsuits. I've been sued multiple times because of this. I am not exposed to unnecessary financial stress because the party is not giving me money. They are not providing my own counsel for me.
You may soon go to jail.
Exactly.
Without bail.
Without bail. So because I'm a chairman of APC and because somebody just jumped in, every other day some belief is calling me. Where are you? We want to serve you with a paper. Because they went through the appeal panel. An appeal panel did nothing. They didn't sit in Enugu whatsoever. The man who was in the appeal panel never one day showed up and sat to hear the petition. They just show up and they gallivant somewhere in some hotel and they take off and go. So those people who believe that the appeal had never been heard, they have gone to court. So of course it's a democratic process. But then our rule though say you have to exhaust the internal dispute mechanism. So I'm appealing to all true members of the party who have any issue with the party to allow the party to resolve it, not to rush to court, to go through all the internal dispute resolution mechanism in place, including the one that we are expecting to. They've written to me. Recently they wrote to me. They said they've seen the petitions and they are coming to Enugu and I'll be invited to provide my testimony. And God's willing, I'll be there. But my concern now is I have been exposed to numerous and countless litigations.
Unfortunately, that's the weight of the crown. Nwoye, I mean, also.
Yes, my own request, is that it's good that the party has seen that there's a lot of crisis, not only in Enugu State, but there's a nationwide crisis that might consume this party if we don't look into it. And I think in their good thinking, they have appointed or they have constituted what they call a National Reconciliation Committee to look into those grievances. I know that there's a tentative date for the National Convention. I just don't know how this committee will be able to go around to listen to the complaints of our numerous party people, because it's not only about us, it's visually all over the state. But in helping them out, there's something I found out, and I think is what they are noting, is that sitting by my side is the chairman, Enugu State APC. And even if they say that somebody removed him, which I cannot pronounce that because I'm not, Buni appointed him. It's only Buni will say that I have removed him. None of us, if we are saying that until Buni says, yes, I removed him, until that day, because he who recruits has equally the power to fire. But even if at that we are discussing about the person who replaced him as an acting chairman, that is Gilbert Chikwado. Equally, Chikwado is not part of Ugochukwu's midwifing. So the Ben Nwoye is not part of the process. Gilbert Chikwado, who they said replaced Ben, is not part of the process. So between them, because what we are talking about is legitimacy of action, between these two people who says whether it is Ben that is legitimate to conduct this midwife this process or Gilbert Chikwado, they are not in the picture of
how this man emerged.
Yeah, how this man emerged. So for them, he should. That's what I keep saying. He is not a subject matter. He shouldn't be seen as a subject matter. Everybody should understand what we all said. Follow the consensus arrangement of this party. Consensus means where there is peace. We agree.
But there's no peace now.
There is no peace because, like he said, in a house that has the Izukaman and age, they speak in Igbo. The bigger you are, it's an implosion in this party. It gives me good thing. Let me tell you, any party you come into, I know when we were forming PDP, I told the guy he's now a member of the Federal House of Reps. We said, anywhere we go to, and people receive us immediately and start giving us seats to sit down, we'll go away from there because nothing is happening. And we said, anywhere we go to, and they start shouting, don't go. We are going to see them because that is where the action is. And that is how we, so when we came to the first one at Philbond, hey, come in, we left. By the time we went to the other one, where the action, immediately we came to the gate, they started locking the gate, we started fighting to get into the gate because we know, and that is the present PDP Enugu state. So our party didn't have that kind of problem before. This time he was talking about, there was nobody. It is a party then that somebody in a family is the chairman, the wife is the secretary, the son is the youth leader. Then, but today, because of what he said, people have entered, we have a lot of membership now. So because of our large number, we now have an implosion in the party. Every person is now discussing interest. So that is why we are. So it is equally healthy in one way. It tells the other party that we are up and doing it, because that is why we could be able to quarrel amongst ourselves. But now, after that, our quarrel comes what we are discussing now. How do we make it work? Because we are interested in seizing power in this 2023 election, because we have every capacity. Every person that is present in Enugu State is in this APC now.
Okay, I'm going to bridge him here,
yes,
because my producer is waving the red flag very strongly. Let me summarize that this afternoon's conversation has been very, very interesting. Very interesting, if you ask me. The crisis in Enugu APC, that's been the point of discussion. But if you look at it, it is something going all over the country. It's not peculiar. But their particular appeal is, one, let non-APC, Enugu State APC actors leave APC alone to resolve this crisis, if that's a crisis. One. Two, let agreements reached remain binding and respected. Three, where they are not respected, please let the national executive, national officials, national mechanism of APC kindly get into Enugu State and confer with the people, the stakeholders, and try to resolve whatever misunderstandings, such that APC in Enugu State can, as we say it, be like a bundle of broom that can sweep clean when the time comes. Well, in the past 35 minutes, 40 minutes, I've been conversing with Dr. Ben Nwoye. Dr. Ben Nwoye is the chairman, APC Enugu State, and secretary, APC State Chairman's Forum. Dr. Ben, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you very much for having me.
By
And
the way,
thank you.
I've been making a very silly mistake. I don't address you as Dr. Ben. I should address you as Dr. Nwoye. Am I right?
Yes, it's okay.
Thank you.
Dr. Ben is good. I like my friends call me Dr. Ben.
Great.
So I'm glad you're my
Great.
friend now.
Okay.
That's what he calls me.
Okay. And also have been this conversation also Joe Mmamel, former chairman Ezagu local government, former commissioner culture and tourism in Enugu State, and APC candidate for Federal House of Representatives in the 2019 election. Also, Joe, thank you for coming to the conversation.
thank you.
As I always tell you, this conversation never ends. It continues, and my name also never changes. It remains Mwabwozinjo. Good afternoon.